So Adam, thanks so much for speaking to us. I was kind of researching your career as a whole, and you're from a footballing family, aren't you? I mean, like, your granddad played professionally, your dad played professionally, your uncle played an FA Cup semi-final for Crystal Palace, your brothers all played professional, as did you. So I guess there was always probably a strong possibility that you were going to have a career in football. So what was that like growing up? And was there a bit of pressure with that, having people play?
Not really. Great role models in sort of my granddad that I was very close to, obviously my dad and my uncle. To hear all their stories about being professional and stuff like that, it's all you ever want to do. But there wasn't no sort of pressure. I didn't feel any pressure anyway. Just wanted to give my all and play as high as I could, and very fortunate that I managed to be a pro. Obviously very disappointed it didn't last as long as what I wanted it to, but at the same time I know I lived a lot of kids' dreams to be a pro footballer, and the fact that I got to live it I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, and when I was researching your playing career, got off to a great start, didn't you? I think man of the match at Burnley away for Brighton in a 3-1 win on your debut, August 2002, I think. My research is right. What sort of centre-half were you like? Were you like a Callum Howe type, or what were you, sort of player were you?
Probably like a bit more your Ryan Fallowfield. Could play right back as well, but yeah, just on the front foot, like to nip in front of the striker, anticipate the pass into him, and quite aggressive. Not brilliant in the air. Played alongside players that could do the heading for me really, and try to just to read the game and anticipate where the ball's going to go. Wasn't particularly fazed by having the ball at my feet either. So yeah, probably wouldn't say I was a total Rio Ferdinand ball playing centre half, but wasn't fazed by having the ball and then just enjoyed defending. I spent a lot of part of my younger career growing up as a forward and scoring goals, and when I sort of made the move back, a centre-back, the game being in front of me just seemed to make a lot more sense, and it probably took my career up a level by playing in that position. Completely different, sort of swung 360, but yeah, love defending, love keeping clean sheets, and every day in training, love putting my body on the line and try to take that into games.
And was it a certain manager that moved you back from being a forward to centre-half?
It's probably during the sort of time I was at Norwich, and they sort of like moved me to right back, so I think I would have struggled as a forward to earn another contract, but then moved to right back and then centre back, and it seemed to, I probably went from average in the pack to maybe one of the better ones in the pack. So obviously playing well, and then just took to defending and had a passion for it. So yeah, probably about 12, 13 at the time when that move happened, and very grateful that it did, and it probably took my career on really.
And when you were at Brighton, I noticed that you captained the side quite a few times when you were quite young as well. So did you always have kind of like leadership qualities growing up?
Yeah, maybe. I remember the first time Mark McGee sort of said he's going to make me captain. Played Wolves away. Yeah, I think we lost 1-0 on the day, but very proud moment to lead the team out. It's sort of early 20s when it came, and then from that towards the latter part of my career, I was club captain at Aldershot and Wickham. So yeah, managers obviously see that I had that leadership quality. I seemed to be one of them that put the armband on and feel the responsibility, and it added something to my game. I'd talk a lot more. I wasn't the sort of leader that's going to be shouting and hollering. Try to lead by example, get in early, work hard in training. But then when I sort of put the armband on, especially towards the latter part of my career, I felt that leadership role on the pitch and try to be the leader on the pitch.
And was that quite difficult in the early, thinking about you being so young, and there'll have been a lot of older pros that probably thought they were going to be captain?
Yeah, I think I was quite, where I grew up in football, I was similar to my kids when I followed my dad's managerial career from a young age. I was in around dressing rooms from an early age, and it probably matures you as a person, and I probably got on better with the older players in the squad than I did lads my sort of age. So yeah, being a bit mature, I see similar traits in my son, and I don't think it'll be too long till he's made captain as well, because I think he shows similar traits without being over vocal on the pitch, but just leading by example and having a maturity about you and your personality. I think they were the key things and key attributes.
And you made over 100 appearances for Brighton, played in the Championship as well, but injuries stopped you doing more and you had to retire from the game pretty early. Did that make you consider coaching as an option, or was that always part of your plan going forward?
No, obviously, I wanted to keep on playing for as long as I could. But yeah, the decision got made for me really by a top surgeon at 26, and didn't really. I sort of had 3 kids, no sort of like finances in place. Went from earning not brilliant money, but earning a good crust, and then to nothing within the matter of months, really. So when you've got 3 kids, it's a case of just trying to do all you can. So, I worked at my local caravan park as a guest man, just done all I could, really. But as soon as I got into coaching, I found a real passion again and a love for it. And it was never the plan to do that, but it's sort of like I sort of grew into it. And since then, not looked back for those first sessions. Very quickly set up a soccer school, and I was out coaching a lot. Chris Grove's actually a York fan. He gave me my first sort of chance of coaching at Lancing College, and really enjoyed that. And I was going from there to doing bits in Brighton's academy, then I had my own soccer school. So I sort of had 3 different jackets in the car and go from one place to the other. But, knew from very early when I started that I had a passion for it, and it's something that I really wanted to explore, and very thankful that I got my first managerial job at 28. I managed to coach at Brighton's academy at the under-18s, so I was full-time there from an early age as well, and they allowed me to get my A licence and get fully qualified. And then, just carry on learning and improving. Sort of 12 years down the line, still think there's so much more I can give. Obviously, feel like I've improved a lot from when I first started, but it's something I'm passionate about. And if anything, now I look back at retiring at 26, and it gave me an early advantage to start my next career.
Because that must have been massive, being told that news at 20, because you could have been quite bitter, couldn't you, and sort of almost hated the game for it and stayed out of it, couldn't you, really?
No, it wasn't a case of that. I was tough, was in a dark place for large parts of it. It took me a while to get my head round not that career being taken away from me, but at the same time I had a real passion for football, and I'm so grateful that probably in those early days I felt I could still play and there'd still be an opportunity to play, but definitely now my knees are absolutely shot, so I can barely jog, let alone play. So I'm just so grateful that I got an opportunity to do something I'm really passionate about, and that's helping young players improve and develop, and look back on it as a blessing now.
Yeah, and character building, I guess, as well.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I mean, let's discuss your management career, and particularly Worthing. I think you had 443 games in charge of them across 2 spells, and I mentioned before, I know Pete Vale reasonably well, and he gives the impression of it being a real community club. And it must hold a real special place in your heart, having that many games in charge of them and your sort of long association with them.
No, it was, again, first went in there, it was tough. As a young manager, getting told that the budget's getting cut, and having conversation with players and telling them that, we're not going to be able to pay them at all. So that was a real tough learning school, but, we look back at it and go, it was all good. But it's come a long way. The seats were all broken, the pitch was in a bad way, and then obviously George's story, he come in and saved the club, and to then take it to the highest level it's ever played at. It was something really special to be a part of. I really feel that all aspects of the club improved during my time there, and it's something I'm very proud of. I look back on it with a lot of fondness. I think I left the club in a better state than I found it, and as a manager, that's all you're looking to do. So like I say, nothing but admiration and for my time there, and the support that everybody, including the supporters, give me, and always look out for how the results are getting on.
Yeah, and at one point I noticed that you had 7 players in the first team that had come through the academy, so that coaching kind of impact that you had there, is that something you'd like to see sort of longer term for York City, more players coming from the academy and getting an opportunity? Definitely
something I'm passionate about. Want to start generating players that are from the city and from the area, and try and get them into the first team. That's definitely got to be the challenge for us. We set up the 14s, 15s, 16s and the education pathway whilst I was there, and it was very successful in terms of getting players come through that and into the first team. So something that I'm passionate about, and players that have come on that we've worked with to go on to bigger and better things during my time there was also really pleasing to see. So I think the real passion for me as a manager is seeing players develop, and definitely something I want to continue here at York.
And this sort of attacking possession-based football, and I know you're very big on the passes have to be there has to be an end product with it. Where does that come from? Because I looked at some of the managers that you played for, and you mentioned Mark Mickey. I remember him being quite pragmatic at times. Where did your kind of philosophy on the game come from?
I think it probably comes from our youth team manager, Dean Wilkins. I think he was ahead of his time. He wanted us to play possession-based, centre-half to split, and have some control over the ball, and it's a way that I enjoyed playing, and probably took it from there. And then obviously as a young manager you look at the best manager there is and you see how Pep Guardiola works and how he gets his teams playing, and that's how you want to adapt your style too. I mean, I think him coming over to England and having so much success has helped the game transform. I think maybe before even he come, especially the start of the Premier League years, it was very much 4-4-2, get it forward and fight for second balls, and I think the game sort of changed with the Premier League and with these top managers coming over into it and with technical players coming into the Premier League. So to grow up seeing that as well, something that I've always been passionate and always want my teams to play. I've always said I've got to go and support the team that I'm managing all over. It was the South East, but now it's all over England, being part of the National League, and I want to go and watch a game that I enjoy watching, and that's a team dominating the ball and getting the ball into the final third and creating chances, and that's something that I want from my teams and enjoy watching, and that's probably where it all stems from.
And is it hard to do that in the non-league? Because there's so many different styles, isn't there, in the non-league? Like you look at Halifax played pretty well against us on Saturday, trying to play football, but Boston beat us, but they were a completely different kind of philosophy to how we play. Is it hard to sort of stick to those principles, and are you quite big on that to make sure players don't get suckered into someone else's game? If you see what I mean?
I think it is hard. It's a bit unique, but I think there's more than one way to play this game. Just because it's not my belief to get it forward and fight for second balls doesn't mean it's the right or wrong way. People get results from it, so very fortunate that playing the style that I want to play has led me to success, and because of that I think I'm more likely to stick with it and believe in it, and I think if a manager gets success playing a certain way, then he is more likely to stick with it, but definitely not saying I have all the answers and my way is the right way or anything like that. And a lot got branded about the attacking football and all the goals that we score, and it was a bit gung-ho and stuff like that, but at the same time I'm a defender, and keeping clean sheets vitally important to us as well. I'm very proud of our defensive record this season, and if you can add that to a team that gets the ball in the final third a lot, then I think you're onto something good.
And just finally, before we leave Worthing, I wondered if you'd watched the documentary that's recently been on TNT. Have you sat back and watched it and seen?
Well, I went up to watch Newcastle play. One of my former players from Worthing, actually, Omar Bugel, was playing for AFC Wimbledon. We got there a bit late and we was in a car park just as the documentary come out, so the whole of the family was sat watching the documentary on the phone whilst we sat in a car park outside St James's Park for about an hour and 45 minutes. So watch it back, give it a good opportunity to watch it, and like I say, I think it shows the club in the right light, and the story that George has to tell is a very unique one and an unbelievable one, and I'm so glad it's got the publicity it has, because he fully deserves it.
And was it a tough decision to come here to York? I mean, Worthing and York could have feasibly swapped places in the pyramid really at that stage. York had been on a bit of a managerial merry-go-round the previous couple of years, and having to uproot your family from down south to up north. How did Matt sell it to you? Was it a quick decision? Was it something you kind of took time over?
Yeah, definitely wanted to take the time over. I felt like we'd built such a good foundation, and there was a good chance of us competing at the top end with Worthing, got ourselves into a good position in the league. Yeah, the timing of it, is there ever a right time to leave? I don't know, but just felt for myself that it was right, and I think the key to it all was really my wife. There was that conversation that it's a big move to uproot the family and stuff like that, especially where we were so settled where we were. My son was living at home and doing well at Brighton at the time, but she just said if you're waiting for it to be the right time with the kids, that time might never come. So it seems like an unbelievable journey. You feel like you want to make this a career, and it seems like a natural progression in your career. So if it's something that you want to give a go, then fully behind you. And from that conversation, really, it did sort of sell it a bit more to me. Obviously,
do you have to tell your son you had to move out then?
No, yeah. So Matt and Julianne, the conversation you had with them, you knew that he was coming to a big club that had a lot of ambition that matched my own. And yeah, just as soon as we sort of stepped foot up here, see the facilities, see the stadium, see the training ground, you knew that he was coming into something that was definitely a step up for us.
And how big was it for you to have your coaching staff, Gary Elphick and Cam Morrison, come with you?
Yeah, so important. I think also we were so lucky we inherited good staff, Joe Stead and Tony McMahon, that was already here. So, I think coming all that way on your own, and it would have been definitely a lot tougher. Knowing you've got two guys with you that are on your page and got your back as well really helped. And like I say, inheriting good staff, and we get along together so well off the pitch as well, and I think that really helps. And really thankful that they did decide to come. So obviously for them, the same decisions. Gary was plumbing, had his own business, and give that up to back me and come on the journey with me. And obviously Cam was doing well for a young lad. He was in a good place at Brighton, but enjoyed working with us, and so grateful that they decided to come.
And looking back to that first game against Wealdstone, it was such an up and down game, wasn't it? We took the lead and then ended up losing, and in the end it could have been any score really, that game. Did you sort of go away thinking, oh, this is a bigger job than I first thought, or what was your emotions after that first match? Yeah,
like I say, right mix of emotions. You've got, when we scored, I think some of our fans were fighting amongst themselves even when we scored a goal. And then, the timings of it, that little bit of luck, potential offside for their goal from a wide free kick, and it wasn't given, and they score and make it 1-1 just on half time. And then obviously a couple of really bad goals that we conceded to go 3-1 down, and then we sort of chucked everything at them and managed to get one more back. But yeah, it's definitely an eye-opener. I think after that game we knew the scale of the task here to try and keep York City in this league, and we knew that we couldn't hide away from it. We had to give it our all, and yeah, so grateful that things started to turn with the win here at Aldershot.
Yeah, just before that, I have to mention Altrincham.
Yep.
I can see there you're trying to blank out your head.
That's right.
I mean, that was significant. I feel like that's where the club almost hit rock bottom, and obviously once you hit rock bottom, the only way is up, isn't it? Where does that rank now in terms of the lowest you've ever felt in football? Because I think as supporters we felt really low.
I felt it was easily the lowest. I think the worst thing for me was being so far away. So me, Gary and Cam had moved up into a house here on our own, and to be so far away from our family, I think knowing what they would be reading after that game, and you really felt that they was with you but felt your pain as well. I think that was the worst thing. Not just being there to say, look, it's going to be all right. I can remember sending a sort of quite a heartfelt message to all the family on the group, and it was along the lines of, we haven't come up here to fail, and at times there's going to be bumps in the road, but you got to keep going, sort of thing. And the Altrincham game, rightly or wrongly, probably was the best thing that happened to us, because we got our first point playing absolutely dreadful football against Kidderminster away. It was disgusting to watch back, didn't enjoy it, but it got us a point. So at that stage we was just grateful to get points on the board. We had to come up away. But after Altrincham getting absolutely humiliated, and like I say, the darkest day, we sat down, we watched the game back in the house together, and we said to ourselves, look, this is not the football we want to be associated with. If we are going to go down, it's going to be playing our way. We highlighted we needed some legs in midfield, managed to get Marvin Armstrong in, which was a masterstroke from everybody to make happen. But yeah, maybe if we had lost 2-1 against Altrincham, then we'd probably kept to what we was doing, and it wouldn't have been enough to keep us in the league. So grateful now that we stuck to what we believed in, and then for that next game to go and play a better style of football and get a 1-0 win against a good team in Aldershot. I think the players got a lot of belief on that as well.
Yeah, and the turnaround from, obviously, because the Altrincham game was on a Tuesday night as well, to do all that for the Saturday was pretty incredible. And also you had the likes of Will Smith, obviously had family issues, didn't he? Couldn't play, and so many kind of things were against you. That Aldershot game, the relief when the goal went in and the full-time whistle went in, is that kind of, I feel like after that you were quite emotional in an interview, and I think York fans suddenly remember there was a human there.
Yeah.
And I feel like your relationship with the supporters sort of changed from that moment on. Do you see that from your point of view as well?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the supporters. It was emotional, like, there's no getting away from it. You had your darkest day and then you bounce back with, like, one of the biggest wins, and like I say, it was a relief to get those 3 points here at home, a last minute header from Lenny, and to see the fans erupt and experience that. My son travelled up, so he was here to experience it, and don't hide anything, try to be open, honest, and I think that just come across. I don't know what the supporters thought, but I was just myself, open, honest, and I am passionate, I am emotional. Players know that, rightly or wrongly. I'll speak my mind, and I think there was something there after that game that they sort of seemed to want to, and we managed to go on a bit of a run, then beat Bromley away, who were flying high at the time, beat Chesterfield at home, 2 unbelievable wins, and we should have backed that out with a win at Halifax as well, but unfortunately it didn't quite happen.
Nearly
materialise. Yeah, we seemed to pick up, and I think ultimately the players got some belief in us and what we was doing, and we was a lot more comfortable delivering what we wanted to deliver and what we was used to, rather than probably going away from that to try and get results. And that was the...
Was it hard to galvanise players, knowing that... I would imagine you would have known which players you would wanted to keep longer term. Was it hard to sort of galvanise players that they probably know that you're not going to be in their plans as well? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, a little bit. I think, like, at that stage, you've got to give them all your ultimate attention and want them to sort of play for you. And even if you think longer term they're not going to be part of your plans, they are part of your plans at that moment in time. So I hope none of them got the sense that they wasn't part of our plans until we had those open, honest conversations with them at the end of the season. So I think they all got belief and brought into what we wanted to do in the last few games of the season.
And how soon after the full-time whistle at Solihull did you start thinking about the next campaign?
Probably enjoyed just being in the division, but then literally you have the conversation. That game finished on a Saturday, went back down south, spent a bit of time with the family, and I was back up here for meetings on a Monday in this room, and had open conversations on the Monday, and you're sort of starting to then plan, as soon as those conversations are finished, on getting a team that can compete and be better for next season. Yeah,
and it was such a big turnaround, wasn't it, in the summer? Like I remember speaking to Matt and him telling me about the kind of plans going forward, and I was thinking, to get all that done in such a short, just in one summer, I thought we would have had a lot of players who you didn't want here, who maybe digging their feet in, but you seem to get that turnaround to happen quite quickly, didn't you? And that felt important that you got your business done early. So important. We knew that it was a big summer for us. Tony McMahon was instrumental in getting players out, and like I say, we had open on conversations. Some of them weren't part of our plans, and we let them know early so they could have the summer to try and find themselves other clubs, and we managed to bring 5 players in that one day. Seemed to really feel like we're onto something. We got the players in that we wanted to, nice and early, and that was a big sort of day for us. Yeah. And some of the players I've spoken to that play for you talk about your attention to detail, almost being obsessive, really, almost like a Pep Guardiola type thing. How consuming is it being manager of York City, and how do you switch off? Do you switch off? No, I don't know if I do. Speak to my family, that's tell you I don't. But it's trying to get that balance right. I think a lot's getting made of the Man United manager at the moment, because he likes to switch off and spend time with his family. I think that's important as well. But try to give the family attention when I'm there. But I think it was only the other day I was watching some session or game on my phone, and there was 3 of them trying to call me at once, and I was just fixated on it. So try and give my all. I think I have enough time off in the summer to give the family the attention then, but it's important to get that balance right. But probably wholehearted, all or nothing, give my all. And I just want to improve players, want to improve myself as a manager, and long may that continue. I don't want to sort of stand still or hate the thought of standing still and not improving. Yeah. And the high standards, I think, is something that I'm always so impressed with when I listen to your post-match interviews. No matter how well the result is, you sort of still find ways to pick in that we can be better here, we can be better there. It's such high standards for your players. I mean, modern day footballers are kind of known to be a little bit sensitive, aren't they, at times? How do you kind of manage that, but driving those high standards? Because some players, I imagine, will want an arm round, and some of them will need a rocket. How do you manage kind of getting your standards across?
It helps having like players that have worked with me before and know the sort of standards I want and set, and I'm looking for perfection out on the pitch, and I know that's never going to really come, but if we set that kind of expectation and we don't quite get there, at least we're improving. And I don't know whether that's something that's just in me or not. I don't know whether that's the reason I got to play in the Championship. Where was I good enough to be in under 21 international? Was I good enough to play that many games in the Championship compared to other players? Maybe not, but maybe it was that willingness and the high standards I set myself. I was always quite open and honest with myself after a game. I know when I'd played well. I know when there was times that I messed up and I could improve, and I think I tried to adopt that and try and put that into everyday life as well. I think my kids will tell you that if I have to go and watch a game and I say they've done well, they know they've done well. But it's not something I'm trying to be horrible or nasty. I just try to be honest and see things through my eyes. And like the standards at the moment, I'm just trying to set a new bar with the players. And maybe last season, being a 6 or a 7 was good enough for you to start the next game. And I'm trying to raise it now that 6 or 7 might not be good enough. We need 8s and 9s for you to know that you're going to be in the starting lineup. And just want to keep on raising those standards and improving players.
And with York City doing well, you're starting to get linked with other jobs. I don't know whether you're aware of this or not, but certainly Crawley and Burton Albion. And whilst that's a good thing, because it obviously shows that York City are doing well for you to be linked with these clubs, your relationship with the owners, and you've moved your family up here now, and I presume you're seeing this as a real long-term project, and your ambitions are with York City. Yeah,
definitely am. Don't get me wrong, I'm very ambitious and want to move up the football pyramid, but I definitely feel I'm in the right place to be doing that. I'm at the club that can go up, and it meets my ambition, and all the time that's there, then I don't see any determination to move so quickly. I'm very happy. My family are very happy. We're very settled. And like I say, we want to just keep on improving as a manager. The press conferences, stop saying no and yeah to start a sentence, and just learning and improving. And I feel I'm in the right place to be doing that. So I'm very ambitious, but I think the club is as well.
Yeah, and there's clearly a real togetherness with this squad. You can see that I don't feel like there's bad eggs, there's no egos, or it doesn't come across like that. No footballers are ever happy to not play, and you'll remember that from your playing career. How do you get that balance? Because the team picture at Halifax on the pitch kind of personifies it, doesn't it? That everyone's there, even if they weren't playing, big smile on their face. And how do you keep them all happy?
Yeah, that is the juggling act, and it is the worst thing is letting players down, like as a person, to have those conversations with people and say, look, you're not playing this week. It's difficult, it's never nice, it's the worst part of the job, but at the same time, from being a player, I always prefer people and managers to be honest with me and just try to have open, honest conversation, honest dialogue. And like I say, I try my best to give everyone an opportunity. I don't think there's too many players, only probably Paddy and Len probably, that could say they haven't had a good run and started enough games, and their role is probably a bit different within the squad. So give players opportunity, and ultimately it's down to them. If they don't take it, they can't come back to me and say, I was never given an opportunity. So just try to be open and honest with them as best you can, and have regular dialogue with players. If you see someone that's down a little bit, you have to try and have a conversation and see what's up with them. But that's how I try to work.
And I think you said at the start of the season that it might not be the best team that gets promoted, but it might be the best squad. And I guess with the amount of subs you've got now, and you can bring on, like, sometimes you're making triple substitutions, aren't you? So even if they're on the bench, they can maybe feel like they're still going to be involved at some point.
Definitely, and I think that's been proven. I think Cam actually done some sort of stat on it, and all the teams that are at the top were the ones that were making the most subs and having the most influence with their subs. So subs coming on and scoring or having an impact in the game is from all the teams at the top. So I think my sort of theory on having the best squad is getting proved right, and it's happened to us so many times. Even on Saturday, Mo Fadira comes on and has a shot that leads to a corner coming in. So subs and the squad and the togetherness is so important, and it's seeing us through, and we want to try and maintain that.
And with going back to the thing I was saying about having bad eggs and egos, is there kind of an effort to get the right characters and the right personalities in? Because I'd imagine now, looking at going forward, if you were to bring, people might say, I'll bring people in January to have that final push, but then you don't want to upset what you've already got, which is clearly a real close bond with that group of people.
Yes, it is that juggling act and getting it right. Obviously, we want, if players are available and going to enhance the group, then we want to look at that. But at the same time, there is a good togetherness, and we don't want to disrupt it by bringing bad people into the building. I think a lot of the recruitment that you've seen so far, there's very few out of those players that I haven't come across before or don't know personally, and we brought some really good people that have come with me and followed us up here, which I knew were good people and would fit in, and you want to see it around the building. So yes, we've got to get that balance right, and that is going to be the toughest thing, making sure the right characters come, because we all want to have a little push and keep on improving, and if the right players come available. But it's important that we don't just hastily go and do that, and make sure that the recruitment's right. Yeah.
And the Barnet and Halifax games, the atmospheres were just phenomenal, weren't they? And like I was saying to you, I've spotted York City a long time. I don't feel like I've experienced this in that whole time. How much is that a factor in kind of tipping the balance in these games where it's quite close? I mean, Barnet, good side. Halifax, I thought, played really well that second half. Yep. And there's moments there where you've got to dig in, haven't you? Yeah. But then to get those goals in front of the supporters, I mean, it must make such a big difference to the players.
It's got to do. I don't think there's any coincidence that, what do we score in that weekend? I think there's 9 goals and 7 of them were scored in front of our fans. So 5 in front of the South Stand and then 2 at Halifax in front of our supporters. I don't think that's just coincidence. That's too many goals, 7 out of 9 to be scored in front of our supporters for it to be coincidence, and that has a big impact, rightly or wrongly. If we'd scored the equaliser down the other end, would have had the same impact that you see in the scenes there right in front of you for the equaliser, and that just galvanised us to go on and score the second one. So yeah, the supporters are playing a massive part, and I still feel we're just scratching the surface of what you can generate at this club in this city. It's so nice. I live in the city, and it's nice to go round and people to speak so well of how well the club's doing at the moment, but without being rude, I don't get too carried away by it, because I want to keep on improving it. I want there to be even more. I want it to be sold out here. I want us to be successful. I want to be the manager that leads York into the Football League, and until that happens, I'm not going to take the plaudits and pat myself on the back. So as well as it's gone in the first 6 months, I don't want that to be what I'm remembered for, a good 6 months. I really want to be the guy, the manager, the management team that takes York back into the Football League, and until that happens, I'm most certainly not going to take any plaudits.
And we started the interview talking about your football family. Of course, Jack is doing so well with Brighton, isn't he? You must be so proud of how he's doing. And are you kind of like after perfection with him as well? Do you message him after games you've seen him playing?
Oh, 100%, definitely, yeah. I'm not as bad as probably my dad was with me. I've learned a bit there, but still I watched a little bit from the Tottenham game, and there was a shot that they had late on, and I thought he could have covered round a little bit. So I watched that and tried to feed it back. But again, like I am with the players, it's just honest. I know it might not be what he wants to hear from his dad, but if I see something and feel like it can improve him as a player, then I'll tell him. But I try to do it with all good humour. Try to put that maybe a bit of negative feedback in between good stuff. I do praise when he does stuff well. His crossing and his free kick taken at the moment is absolutely shocking, so I tell him that he's got to get on the training pitch and work on it, and he's got to add that to his game, because when he was an under-21 player, that was one of his attributes, was set pieces. He put a ball on the money, he could score a free kick, so it's another advantage to his game. So yeah, I wouldn't say I'm totally critical about all of it. I'm very proud of him playing in the Premier League. I never got to play there. It was always a dream of mine, so I'm so delighted that he's getting to experience it. But to stay there now, he's got to keep on improving, because Brighton's a club like I want York to be, not to stand still, and they're always going to be looking are recruiting bigger and better players, so you've got to keep on improving.
And he's in the under-21s as well, isn't he? I know, I was reading that you got called up to the Toulon tournament, didn't you? But had to pull out for injury, is that right?
No, yeah, I got into a couple of squads but never actually made the pitch, so he's actually featured in a qualifier now, so yeah, he's doing brilliant. And he's actually went for an operation on the Friday. Jack was born on the Sunday, went for an operation on the Friday, and then when I got back on that Friday after the operation, Jack actually come as like 5-day-old to pick me up. And when we got back, there was a letter waiting for me saying I was being considered for the Toulon tournament. So obviously I opened it up and knew that I was out for 9 months, so I wouldn't be able to feature. So it was a bit of a gutter, but if anything, it gave me a bit of inspiration and a bit of motivation to work harder to make sure I come back fitter than ever.
Well, Adam, it's been fascinating to listen to you. Like you say, you're always dead honest, and this has been exactly that. So thank you for giving up your time to speak to me.
No, a pleasure. Good to speak to you.
Cheers.